I am Dr. Susan Parker, and before we go a single step further, I want to tell you something that can change the way you see yourself as a man. The world has spent years convincing men that size is everything, that confidence in intimate moments is reserved for the few who fit a certain image. That message is heavy. It creates comparison, shame, pressure, and silence. Yet when we actually look at what makes a partner feel safe, connected, and satisfied, the story is very different. What really matters is not a number, it is your presence, your rhythm, your ability to stay calm in your body when emotions and sensations rise. In other words, your stamina. Stamina is not just about how long you last in a private moment. Stamina is your capacity to keep your mind, your breathing, your body, and your emotions working together without collapsing from nerves. That is something you can learn, train, and improve at any age. The title of this video says it clearly. Stamina is greater than size. Stamina is greater than comparison. Stamina is greater than any story you were sold about what it means to be enough. And there is a simple, natural, free tool that your body already has, a tool almost no one taught you how to use on purpose: your breathing. The way you breathe can extend your energy, your presence, your confidence, and your ability to stay in your body instead of in your head when intensity rises. Today, I want to guide you through a specific breathing trick that many men have used to change how they feel in intimate situations. It is respectful, it is safe, it is grounded in how your nervous system and circulation work, and it does not depend on your past or on comparison with anyone else. It depends only on something you carry with you every hour of your life: air. Let us start with a quiet truth many men never say out loud. Maybe you recognize yourself here. You want to enjoy your intimate life, but when the moment arrives, your mind fills with noise. Thoughts like, what if I do not last? What if I lose firmness? What if I disappoint? What if something goes wrong? Your chest tightens. You notice your heart beating faster. Sometimes you hold your breath without even realizing it, or your breathing becomes shallow and quick. Your shoulders tense up. Your attention shifts from connection to fear. The more you try to control this with pure willpower, the more out of control it feels. This is not a moral failure. It is not a sign of weakness. It is your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do when it senses a threat. It switches into fight or flight. The problem is that your body does not always distinguish between real danger and emotional risk. If deep inside you feel that you are being evaluated or judged, your brain can quietly label that intimate moment as a high-risk situation. It releases adrenaline, speeds up your heart, sends blood to big muscles, and prepares your body to run or fight. In that state, it is very hard to stay calm, sensitive, coordinated, and connected. And if you add years of messages about size, unrealistic images, and crude jokes about performance, the pressure increases even more. Many men live that tension in silence. Some avoid intimacy. Others pretend confidence while feeling like they are walking on thin ice inside. I want you to understand something with complete clarity. What you call lack of control is almost never a problem isolated to one part of your body. It is a regulation problem. It is the way your breathing, your heart, your muscles, and your thoughts react together to stress. If the problem is global, the solution can be global as well. This is where breathing comes in as a tool. We are not talking about magic. We are talking about basic physiology. Every breath sends a signal to your nervous system. Short, high, rapid breaths tell your brain that something is wrong. Slower, deeper breaths that involve your diaphragm and lengthen the exhale tell your brain, you can downshift, you are safe, you do not need to panic. Most men were never taught how to use breath as a dial. No one showed them that they can turn their own intensity up or down without forcing anything in their intimate areas, simply by changing the pace of the air. In this video, we are going to work on exactly that. how to turn your breathing into a remote control that lets you stay longer in that sweet zone where everything feels good, without crossing the edge too fast, and without disconnecting from yourself or from your partner. And we are going to do it in a respectful, safe way, without holding your breath until you feel dizzy, without any aggressive tricks, and without putting your health at risk. To make this practical, I want you to imagine a simple intensity scale from 0 to 10. 0 is complete calm. You are sitting on the couch, no stimulation, no pressure. 10 is your maximum peak, the point you may feel you reach too quickly. Between 0 and 10, there is a wide space. At 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the energy is rising, your breathing speeds up a little, your body wakes up, but you still have options. You still have room to guide the process. What usually happens when you do not regulate your breath is that you jump from 4 to 9 in seconds. Your body does not have time to adapt, and your mind feels like it lost the steering wheel. The breathing trick we are about to build is designed to keep you in that middle zone for longer, enjoying, listening, moving, without dropping into panic at the edge. The first step does not happen in the bedroom, and it does not involve anyone else. It happens alone, fully dressed, in a completely neutral context. No technique works in an intense moment if your body has never rehearsed it in a calm one. So choose a place where you can sit with your back supported, feet on the floor, and face relaxed. Close your mouth gently, and if it is comfortable for you, breathe through your nose. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your lower abdomen. For a few breaths, just notice how you are breathing right now without changing anything. Many men discover that the air barely moves the lower hand. The breath is trapped high in the chest. That is alert breathing. We want to shift it into base breathing. Now we introduce the pattern that will become the core of this trick. Inhale through your nose while you count quietly to 4. You do not need a huge breath, just a steady one. Then exhale gently while you count to 6. The exhale is a little longer than the inhale. You are not pushing the air out with force. You are letting it flow out as if you were slowly deflating a balloon. As you breathe in, let your abdomen expand slightly under your hand, like a soft sphere filling. As you breathe out, feel that sphere return to its starting size. Your shoulders stay relaxed. Your chest stays relatively quiet. The main movement happens thanks to your diaphragm, the muscle that sits under your lungs and above your abdominal organs. Repeat this pattern for 2 or 3 minutes, 4 counts in, 6 counts out. If you feel lightheaded at any moment, stop and let your breath return to normal. The goal is not to force yourself. The goal is to teach your nervous system that it can enter a state of calm activation. As you breathe this way, notice your body. Maybe the muscles around your eyes soften. Maybe your jaw stops clenching. Maybe your shoulders drop a little. These are small signs that your parasympathetic system, the branch responsible for rest and recovery, is waking up and balancing the reaction. This simple pattern has deep effects. By lengthening the exhale, you gently stimulate the vagus nerve, a major pathway that connects your brain with your heart, lungs, and digestive system. That stimulation lowers heart rate, improves heart rhythm variability, and sends a clear message, we are okay. When that message repeats day after day, your body learns not to overshoot its stress response every time you face something that feels important or vulnerable. That learning transfers into intimate moments. In addition, nasal breathing supports the release of a small amount of nitric oxide in your airways, a molecule that helps blood vessels relax and supports circulation. You do not have to memorize all the technical names, but it helps to know that with every cycle of this breathing, you are giving both your circulation and your nervous system a small training session in regulation. The second step is to carry this pattern into everyday situations that are mildly demanding but not intimate. For example, when you walk a little faster to catch a bus, when you climb a flight of stairs, when a meeting becomes tense, or when you sense frustration building. In those moments, most people automatically shorten and quicken their breathing. Instead, you are going to apply the same principle. Inhale for about 4 counts and exhale for about 6, keeping your abdomen as your main reference point. In this way, your body learns that this pattern is not something fragile that only happens in stillness. It becomes a way of breathing that is available when your heart rate is higher, your muscles are working, and life is moving. Once you have rehearsed this breathing both in rest and in daily movement, you are ready for the most delicate context, your intimate life. Here I want to be very clear. This is not about counting in your head with rigid numbers in the middle of a private moment. It is not about leaving the experience to manage it from your head like a technical exercise. It is about using the principles your body already knows to stay in a manageable zone. The 2 priorities are that your exhale remains slightly longer than your inhale, and that the main expansion stays low, around the abdomen, not high in the chest and shoulders. Imagine a moment of connection with your partner. Closeness builds, and you feel your internal intensity rising. Perhaps your heart speeds up. Perhaps you sense tension in your neck or jaw. Perhaps there is a wave of heat. In the past, without this tool, you probably reacted in one of 2 ways. Either you allowed that wave to carry you straight to your maximum, even if it was earlier than you wanted, or you suddenly pulled back, disconnected, and pretended nothing was happening because you were afraid of crossing that threshold. With breathing as an ally, a 3rd path appears. Instead of speeding up even more, you give yourself permission to keep your breath steady, or slightly slower. When you notice that your intensity is moving from, say, a 5 to a 7 on that internal scale, that is your key moment. Without making a scene, you simply start to emphasize your exhale. You allow the air in naturally and then let it leave your body more slowly. If you like images, you can picture your breath as a weight moving gently downward inside your torso, from your chest toward your abdomen with each out-breath. You stay present. You keep your attention on the connection, on touch, on communication. You do not disappear into worries. You stay there, but your breath holds you like an anchor. This subtle adjustment creates several changes at once. It prevents your nervous system from jumping suddenly into a state of maximum activation where you lose your sense of choice. It also helps the muscles throughout your body, including in your pelvic region, avoid a sudden, rigid contraction. Instead of a sharp spike in tension, you have a smoother, more controllable rise. That gives you more time in that band, where pleasure, closeness, and awareness are high, but you still feel that you can guide the process. Just as important, this kind of breathing keeps anxiety from taking over. The slow exhale reminds your brain that this is not an exam and not a performance review. It is a human moment, and you are allowed to be there without proving anything. You can amplify this effect with a simple internal cue. Each time you breathe out, imagine you are gently letting go of unnecessary tightness in the base of your body, the same way you would release tension from your shoulders. You are not forcing extreme relaxation. You are giving your muscles permission to do only the work they need, not more. Many men live with a chronically tight pelvic floor because of daily stress, long hours sitting, and years of holding in emotions. That background tension makes their system react faster and more sharply than they would like. Pairing the long exhale with this gentle sense of letting go creates a new pattern: intensity plus calm breath plus cooperative muscles. To help you picture this, let me walk you through a few composite examples based on many men's experiences. Think of a man in his early 50s who has spent years feeling that his intimate life is slipping away from him. Every time he approaches his partner, he remembers moments when things did not go as planned. He replays comments, expressions, and assumptions. His body has learned to expect stress. When he discovers this breathing practice, he starts small. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, nothing more. After a week, he begins to use the breath on his walks. The first time he consciously brings it into a moment of closeness, he notices something surprising. For the first time in a long while, he does not feel like he is fighting his own body. He feels like he is accompanying it. That inner shift matters as much as any physical change. Now picture a younger man in his 30s whose main challenge is anxiety and self-criticism. His mind constantly compares him to what he has seen in media and to exaggerated stories from friends. He believes he should be performing instead of experiencing. When he learns to use breath as an anchor, he discovers that his goal changes. Instead of trying to impress an imaginary audience, he begins to focus on being present with real sensations and with the real person in front of him. The breathing pattern keeps him out of his head long enough to notice that when he relaxes, his partner relaxes too. That feedback starts to rebuild his confidence from the inside. A third example could be a man who has been in a long-term relationship for many years. He does not struggle with duration most of the time, but he feels that his energy rises and falls unpredictably, depending on work stress, financial worries, and physical fatigue. When he brings this breathing trick into his daily routine, not just into intimate time, he notices something broader. He shouts less in traffic. He recovers more quickly from arguments. He falls asleep more easily. That overall regulation becomes the foundation for steadier intimacy. His partner notices that he is more emotionally available, not only physically present. Stamina, in his case, becomes the ability to stay in connection through all the little storms of life, not just to stay active for a few extra minutes. The important point in all these stories is that breathing is not a way to cheat your body. It is a way to educate it. Instead of jumping from 0 to 10, your system learns to use more of the scale. That translates into greater control without stiffness, greater sensitivity without feeling fragile, and a deeper sense of self-respect. When you no longer feel like a victim of a runaway reaction, you regain the sense that your body is an ally you can cooperate with. You might be wondering how long you need to practice before you notice real changes. The honest answer is that it varies. It depends on your baseline stress level, your habits, your health, and your willingness to be consistent. The encouraging news is that many men notice changes in how they handle nerves, sleep, and difficult conversations after only 1 or 2 weeks of brief daily practice. Those changes are signals that your nervous system is starting to respond. When that foundation is in place, using the same breathing during intimate moments feels more natural and less like a new trick. To build this into your life, I suggest a simple plan. For the next 7 days, choose 3 specific times each day. 1 in the morning, 1 in the middle of your day, and 1 in the evening. They could be right after you wake up, during a break at work, and just before bed. At each of those times, sit down for 2 minutes and practice the 4 in, 6 out breathing. That is all. Do not worry about doing it perfectly. Just show up for those 2 minutes. Then, when you walk or climb stairs, remember the same pattern for a few breaths. Also, whenever you notice a spike of anxiety, commit to taking 3 longer exhales before you react. After a week of this, you will probably find that your body recognizes the pattern. The longer exhale will begin to appear almost automatically when you face stress. At that point, when you are in an intimate context, you do not have to force anything. A few conscious breaths will be enough to bring back that familiar sense of calm activation. That is what turns breathing from a theory into a real trick. You can use it without a lot of effort or analysis. This breathing practice is not a replacement for medical evaluation if you have clear symptoms such as pain, sudden changes in your health, known heart or lung conditions, or if you take medication that affects circulation and performance. In those situations, your first step should always be to speak with your healthcare team. Breathing is a powerful complement. It can improve regulation and support circulation, but it is not a miracle cure, and it does not replace professional care. If at any time during practice you feel strong dizziness, chest pain, visual changes, or any worrying symptom, stop and seek help. There is another aspect that deserves attention: the quiet pride many men feel when they begin to regain a sense of choice. I am not talking about arrogance. I am talking about the simple, honest satisfaction of noticing, I stayed with myself longer this time. I listened more. I did not let panic drive the moment. That kind of pride is healthy. It does not come from pretending to be someone you are not. It comes from small, repeated experiences where you see that your effort creates real change. Every time you use your breath to stay present, you reinforce the belief that your body responds to the care you give it. You may also notice that this work changes the way you communicate. When you know you have a tool to manage intensity, it becomes easier to be honest with your partner. You can say something as simple as, "If I pause for a moment, it is not because I am disconnecting. It is because I am adjusting my breathing so I can stay with you longer." That kind of openness builds trust. It transforms what used to feel like a secret struggle into a shared project of well-being. In that space, size truly loses importance. What matters is the sense of safety, respect, and connection you create together. Perhaps part of you still thinks this is too simple to make a difference. Before we close, I also want you to see how this breathing trick supports more than intimate stamina. When you breathe in this way, you are training the small muscles between your ribs, your diaphragm, and the deep, stabilizing muscles around your spine. That improves posture and endurance in daily life. You may notice that carrying groceries, playing with your children or grandchildren, or walking uphill feels less draining when your breath is coordinated. Better breathing also means more efficient oxygen delivery to your muscles and to your brain. Clearer thinking under pressure, steadier hands in stressful situations, and a more resilient heart rhythm are all part of the same package. The work you do on your breath to help you in the bedroom quietly helps you in meetings, in difficult conversations, and in moments when life throws something unexpected in your path. There is a strong link between how you breathe, how you circulate blood, and how you age. Chronic shallow breathing keeps your body in a subtle, constant alert mode. Over years, that can contribute to tension, high blood pressure, poor sleep, and lower overall vitality. In contrast, a habit of regular, deep, controlled breathing sends thousands of signals of safety to your system. Those signals influence hormones, inflammatory markers, and even the way your body repairs itself. When you choose stamina over size as your focus, you are really choosing long-term health over short-term ego. You are choosing a way of living in your body that supports your heart, your vessels, your mind, and your intimate life all at once. That is why one simple breathing trick can legitimately be called a longevity habit as well as a confidence habit. We live in a world that loves complicated solutions, pills, gadgets, dramatic promises. But your body does not need drama. It needs signals. Air enters the body of the most insecure man and of the most confident man in exactly the same way. The difference is that one uses that air unconsciously and the other uses it deliberately. When you become the second man, you step out of the story that everything is fixed and unchangeable. So I want you to imagine yourself a few weeks from now. You have practiced this breathing every day. You have used it during stress at work, during walks, during quiet moments. You find yourself in an intimate situation and you notice the familiar rise of intensity. This time you do not freeze and you do not rush. Your breathing stays low and steady. Your body feels more grounded. Your mind is quieter. You are not watching yourself from the outside. You are living the moment from the inside. You feel connection, not performance. In that scene, size is no longer the headline. The headline is presence. That is stamina. That is what truly extends you. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to do more than just listen. Try the breathing today, even if it is for a single minute. Notice how your body responds. Write down the smallest change you experience, such as a slight drop in tension or a bit more calm before sleep. Those notes will remind you, on days when you doubt, that your system is capable of learning. And if you know another man who quietly worries about his performance or his confidence, consider sharing this with him. Many men need to hear that their body is not broken and that there are gentle, natural ways to support change. I am Dr. Susan Parker, an educator in well-being, longevity, and intimate health in midlife. My goal is to remind you that your value is not measured in millimeters or in myths. It is reflected in your ability to be present, to care for your body, and to honor your relationships. Stamina is greater than size, always. And your breath is the simplest and most powerful key you have to extend your energy, your confidence, and your capacity to enjoy the journey, not only the destination. Thank you for being here, for listening to the end, and for giving yourself permission to look at your body with more respect and more hope. If you want to keep learning natural habits and practical tools for male well-being and vitality in the second half of life, I invite you to subscribe and stay with me for future videos. Until then, remember this. Every long, gentle exhale is a quiet reminder that you are not at the mercy of fear. You are learning to breathe as an ally to your own life.